The Australian market is closed and LTR Pharma Ltd, ticker LTP, finished the session at 0.50 AUD. That's a gain of 2.04% or 1 cent on the day. The session saw a tight range between 49 and 51 cents, and it traded on very thin volume, just over 78,000 shares, which is a fraction of its daily average. Now, on the surface, a 1 cent move on low volume is absolute noise, the kind of daily drift that most investors, whether they are using a sophisticated interactive brokers platform or just starting out with SoFi Invest, would completely ignore. And that's the expectation. This is just another forgotten speculative microcap biotech stock idling on the ASX. But the reality of what LTR Pharma is doing is far more specific and, frankly, far more interesting than that 2.04% drift implies. The common belief is that this is a typical biotech gamble, a company burning through cash trying to discover a brand new molecule that has a 1 in 1,000 shot of working. That expectation is fundamentally wrong. LTR Pharma isn't in the discovery business, it's in the delivery business. And that distinction changes the entire risk profile. Most investors hear erectile dysfunction treatment and their eyes glaze over. They think of Viagra, Cialis, and a market that went fully generic years ago. It's a commoditized space, a race to the bottom on price. Why would anyone invest in a new company trying to enter that saturated field? That's the common ground, the narrative that keeps this stock trading at 50 cents. But here is the challenge to that thinking. The existing treatments, while effective, have a massive user problem. The high discontinuation rate for oral PDE5 inhibitors isn't just about side effects, it's about the 1 hour plus wait time. The pills failed the spontaneity test, which is the entire point. LTR Pharma's lead product, SPONTAN, is not a new drug. It is Vardenafil, the proven approved active ingredient from the drug Levitra, reformulated into a nasal spray. The company's entire thesis is built on one claim. Their nasal spray bypasses the liver's first-pass metabolism and gets the drug into the bloodstream immediately, with clinical data showing peak concentration in as little as 9 to 12 minutes, versus 56 minutes or more for the oral tablet. This isn't a new molecule. It's a new on-ramp for an old, established one. This changes the entire conversation from will the drug work to will the delivery method get approved and will patients pay for speed. Let's look at the recent stock movement because it tells this story perfectly. This stock doesn't trade on fundamentals in the way Apple stock or Nvidia stock does. It is a binary event-driven security. This year, 2025, the stock has been a terrible performer. It's down almost 40%. But that's only because it had a monster 2024, running up over 130%. The volatility here is extreme. This is not something you park in Fidelity mutual funds or a Schwab Intelligent Portfolios account. This is the definition of a high-risk active trade. The big spike last year and the subsequent bleed out was tied directly to its pivotal clinical data. In June 2024, the company announced successful results from its bioequivalency study, which was the entire proof of concept. That study, which was later published in a peer-reviewed journal this past August, is what the company is hanging its hat on. It showed a 470% faster absorption. That news is what sent the stock flying. Ever since then, it's been a slow drift down as the market waits for the next catalyst. That's why today's 2% move is meaningless. The stock is in a holding pattern, waiting for news on regulatory submission or commercialization. The volume is dry because the smart traders are on the sidelines, and the long-term holders are just waiting. This is the kind of stock that will do nothing for 6 months and then move 50% in one day on a single ASX announcement. If you're looking at this on the Robinhood app or considering an individual brokerage account for speculative plays, you have to understand that this is a news-driven stock, not an earnings-driven one. So what is the actual business and regulatory path? This is the most important part, and it's what separates LTR from its biotech peers. Because SPONTAN uses an existing approved drug, Vardenafil, LTR Pharma is not pursuing a traditional 10-year billion-dollar new drug application. In the United States, its primary target market, it is pursuing the 505(b)(2) regulatory pathway. This is a hybrid application. It allows LTR to reference the entire safety and efficacy data package that was already approved for Vardenafil's oral tablet and bridge it with their own data showing their nasal spray is safe and bioequivalent. This is dramatically faster, cheaper, and, most importantly, less risky. The company doesn't have to prove Vardenafil treats ED, that's already known. It only has to prove that its nasal spray delivers the drug safely and effectively. This is a regulatory gamble, not a scientific one. And they've already de-risked it further. They have a co-development agreement with Aptar Pharma, a global leader in nasal spray technology, to provide the actual device. This isn't a startup trying to build a complex device in a garage. They've partnered with the best. Furthermore, here in Australia, the product is already being commercialized. It's available through the TGA's Special Access Scheme and Authorized Prescriber Scheme, and they have distribution deals in place. This is generating small but real revenue. This is a critical distinction for anyone engaged in online investing and comparing spec biotechs. LTR Pharma is already a commercial-stage company in its home market. Now let's talk about the biggest risk for any company like this, the balance sheet. The expectation for a sub-$1 stock is that it's perpetually on the brink of collapse, desperate for cash, and about to dilute shareholders into oblivion. This is where the reality for LTR is, once again, completely different. According to their last major financial report for the year ending June 30, 2025, LTR Pharma is sitting on a robust cash balance of 31.8 million Australian dollars. Their net loss for the entire year was only 5.6 million. Their net operating cash burn was even lower, around 4.4 million. You don't need to be a Fidelity wealth management analyst to do that math. This company has a runway of years. At its current burn rate, we are talking 5, 6, maybe even 7 years of cash on hand. This is an almost unheard of position of strength for a clinical stage company. It means they are not beholden to the market. They do not need to raise capital at a low share price. They can fund their entire regulatory submission process in the US and Australia and scale up manufacturing without coming back to the market for more. This completely changes the power dynamic. It allows management to negotiate from a position of strength, and it gives investors confidence that the lights will stay on long enough to see the catalysts through. This isn't a bet on survival, it's a bet on approval. So what is the future outlook? It's all about catalysts. The stock is treading water at 50 cents because the market is waiting for the big one, the filing of the 505(b)(2) application with the US FDA. The company has stated that this timeline is on track, supported by their partnership with Aptar Pharma and the extended 18-month shelf life data they announced in August. That submission is the starting gun. From there, the market will model the probability of approval, potential licensing deals, or a full buyout. The bull case is simple. The FDA accepts the data, SPONTAN is approved as a fast-acting, premium-priced alternative to generic pills, and LTR captures a small but highly profitable slice of a multi-billion-dollar market. In that scenario, a $90 million market cap is a distant memory. The bear case is equally simple. The FDA rejects the application, maybe over safety concerns with nasal delivery or issues with the manufacturing data. If that happens, the stock's main thesis is broken and it will fall sharply, likely trading only on the value of its remaining cash. They do have other products in the pipeline like Roxas and Oroflow, but SPONTAN is the entire story right now. This is a self-investing play for those with a high tolerance for risk and a long-term horizon. It is the polar opposite of a stable Tesla stock or a diversified intelligent portfolio. It is a binary bet on a single regulatory outcome. Looking at this entire picture, I want you to comment below with your thoughts on this specific regulatory pathway. Do you think the FDA's 505(b)(2) pathway, which relies on an older drug's data, is a smart way to innovate, or do you think it's a risky loophole? Let me know your take. To summarize, the expectation for LTR Pharma is that it's a 50-cent, low-volume, speculative biotech lottery ticket, burning cash on a long-shot drug. The reality is far more compelling. This is one of the most de-risked speculative plays on the ASX. It's a late-stage company, not a discovery stage one. It's not a new drug. It's a new, faster delivery for a proven drug. It's not a regulatory guess. It's on a clearly defined, streamlined 505(b)(2) pathway. And most critically, it is not burning cash. It is sitting on a fortress-like balance sheet with over $31 million, giving it a multi-year runway to see it shot through to the end. The risk isn't in the science, it's in the execution. Convincing regulators and then convincing a market that speed is worth paying for.